Moin Moin. Welcome to Code Talks 2019, everyone. I'm Martin. I'm the Tech Evangelist and Tech Events Manager of About You, and I'm also organizing this conference. And usually, like the last 8 years, Tarek would have been here today doing the first part of this introduction speech, but sadly he can't be here, so I have to do it now. I hope that's okay for everyone. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you about here is just like a general setup, how the timetable will look, what's the general setup of the conference, and then after that, the curators will come up on stage, talk a bit about the context of the talks within their topic, and then after that, there will be the talk starting, and yeah, let's get started. So, the Code Talks is the greatest development conference in Germany, and we're 1,600 people here today, with actually like a bunch of more hundred tickets in the waiting list. So you did it all right by ordering your ticket on time, and yeah, I guess we could have been at least 2,500 people here, but sadly the cinema doesn't support that. But we really like this location, so we stayed in here. And so the Code Talks was founded as a counterpart to the casual conferences that have been around in the beginning of 2011. So Tarek and Betts, our CTO and CEO of About You, sat together back then, and they were like, nah, we don't really like all the conferences that usually happen. So let's do something cool with like all the people from our network, and we will just all invite them, have like a small conference, and they actually just wanted to have some fun with some tech people, talk about like tech stuff that actually matters to them. And then it developed in the past 6 years. It actually developed to be the largest development conference in Germany. So one hint, there's no app. I got asked that a few times, but there is a website. Who hasn't seen the website yet? Anyone? There's one person, okay. So everyone else knows the website. And you can customize your timetable there, and there's a map of like the locations where you can find everything. And yeah, just in general, you can try to find almost all the information there. And there's also crew people running around with like white shirts and says crew on top of the shirt on the back. So if you have any questions that are not answered within the app, website, sorry. It's a web app. So you can, just always ask the crew, or if you see me, you can always ask me as well. On the website, there will be a speaker evaluation. So 15 minutes after the talk started, if you are in the talk, you can go to the website, open the talk you're in, and then you can leave a star rating and a comment. Makes more sense to do that in the end, but in theory, you can do that after 15 minutes. And yeah, just leave some personal feedback, because it really helps the speakers. It helps me for the next conference to evaluate which speakers you liked and which you didn't. And yeah, it also just helps the speakers to improve their talks. And what I think is really amazing about this conference, so I've been at quite a few conferences now, but the general location and the setup with the events happening around it, I've not experienced that at other conferences so far. So just the cinema is already really amazing, and I mean, who has been at a conference with such amazing chairs, just relaxing, eating popcorn, nachos, everything? I just really like the setup of the conference here. So, I'm not sure if you saw, but there's a bar area outside, and we have free Clubmatte, there's a kicker, we have a PlayStation on the bar area as well, and there's a lounge area where we can just chill and hang out and connect with other people, and please do. I think that's like one of the most amazing things about developer conferences, that you have a lot of people that are actually the same minded as you are. And so yeah, use the chance, like get to know other people. There, you have your name here, so it's easy. You don't even have to ask for the name. You're just like, hey, Martin, and then just go up to the people. So I think the most favorite thing about the Code Talks for everyone, at least that I ever heard here, is the free nachos and free popcorn all day, as much as you can eat. Telling that to the person who organizes the program. But okay. And yeah, so gonna go crazy on the nachos, and tonight there's gonna be the legendary after party. Who has not been at the after party so far at the Code Talks? Oh, that's quite a few. And how many of those have not been at the Code Talks before? How is there fewer people at the party than that have been at the Code Talks before? Okay, but there will be shuttles here in front of the cinema, which will take you directly to the location. And also there will be shuttles afterwards that will take you home or to your hotels. There is like a maximum radius of like 10 kilometers. And it would be really nice if you could gather together in groups so everyone can use that service. But in general, there will be shuttles in front of the location as well, taking you wherever you want within the 10 kilometers. Okay, so I already talked about this, and the Code Talks was founded in 2010. And yeah, like I said, it's supposed to be a community format. We are completely driven by the community. My curators that helped me put together the program are all picked from within the community, and we try to gather their networks to get the best speakers on stage here. And we have quite a variety of themes here at the conference throughout the years. Last year, when I took over the program, we canceled the programming-specific tracks, and this year we don't have a lot of additions to that. But in general, we are always trying to find new topics that are really relevant within the community, and we are also really focused on staying connected with the community. Also, you could say that About You, even though I'm working for About You and the event team is also working for About You, we are trying to keep the conference a non-profit. So About You doesn't make any profit from the conference. It's just as an event for the community, for the developers. And yeah, it's just a really cool event that just About You is organizing and paying me and the event team to do. So I already said the curators helped me to get some interesting talks. There is the call for papers. This year we had like 600 submissions or something in total. And me and the curators also contacted in total about 800 speakers from all over the world. And I'm really happy with some of the speakers we have here. So I think we are increasingly getting a better and better program every year. And I really like your feedback, so if you want to have any feedback at all, just in general on the program, just write me an email. It's on the Code Talks website, or just, I don't know, write me a PM on Twitter or something. I really would like to hear what you're thinking. Okay. So another thing that is really important to us is that we want to have fun and respect each other. So we have the code of conduct on our website up and for everyone to read. So yeah, just please be kind to each other. Don't do anything that would insult anyone. And if you have anything you want to read up on, there is the code of conduct on our website for all of you to read. Another thing that's really important is, the community. We want to push people within the community who are not as present normally at conferences. So we have a youth development program where we provide free tickets to students and trainees. There's a limited amount, so if you know someone, get them to apply for one of those tickets really early next year. And we are also giving a free, a discount, and we also have other great discounts where we have partnerships with universities. And also, we are always trying to promote diversity in every possible way. And we are also working with a lot of groups from within the field who are trying to push the diversity within the developer scene. So, the general setup is going to be, so you've all been through the check-in, obviously. There's breakfast outside at the moment, and also will be, I hope, after this talk. This is the welcome speech. You all know that. And yeah, so after this talk, the talks will start. We have our 8 cinemas, and yeah, just look in the program which one you want to go to. There's going to be lunch right after the last talk. So at 12:45, there will be food trucks outside. We have some catering in here. And yeah, just go crazy. And also nachos all day. So I think most of the people will just eat nachos most of the day. At least I will. And yeah, so at 14 o'clock after lunch, we will have another round of talks. And then, as I said, at 18 o'clock, there will be the shuttles to the party where there will also be food and drinks as much as most people can drink. And yeah, so next, on Friday, tomorrow, there will be another way to check in. We will have breakfast, and then basically the same setup as today. So we have talks throughout the day, have a lunch, and then also talks. Really important for me. I know a lot of people always leave the conferences at like 4 p.m. Please don't do that. I intentionally put a lot of really cool talks that I found really cool at the end of tomorrow. Don't leave before 18 o'clock if you cannot avoid it. If you can avoid it, so yeah, just check out the end of tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of cool talks. We have a Q&A set up this year. So usually we had the setup where we would ask, and the speaker would ask the audience. But this year we will have Slido in Cinema 1 at least. So you can just go to the website slide.do. And then put in the code.talks.19. You don't actually have to write hashtag because that's already in the form. But yeah, you can ask questions for each of the talks there, and then we will have someone up stage and just read out the questions and have like a conversation with the speaker. And for all the other cinemas, there will be just the normal Q&A session as it was in the last years. So the speaker will just ask, do you have questions? If they want to. If they don't, they don't. But in general, just like there will be someone with a microphone going around asking the questions. So I want to give a big thanks to the event team who supported me with organizing this conference, and also the graphics team. So yeah, the graphics team did an amazing job. I hope you all saw the tower outside. I spotted one mistake. If you find it, write me an email or write me on Twitter. And there's one mistake on the tower which I made. So yeah, if you find it, write me what it is. And yeah, just in general, I would like to give a big applause to the event team and the design team for supporting this conference. Also, I want to say thanks to all the sponsors. So usually, I've been to a few conferences where the prices for the tickets are quite high, and we are able to keep the costs of the ticket at least in a okayish region. So I want to also give a big thanks to all the sponsors which are supporting us here at the conference to keep the conference up for the community, not too expensive. And yeah, just a big thanks to them as well. And please, some of them have stands outside, so you can go out there, just connect with them, talk to them if you want. And also, the biggest thanks I want to give to Tarek and Bets for starting this amazing conference. And I just really like what they came up with. I hope you all do too. And you will really enjoy the next 2 days. And the most important part, this conference is of course dependent on a lot of people, but the most important and essential part are the speakers. And I said this last year already, and I think that's a really good metaphor. So speakers are really, I think as well, nervous, so I'm really nervous right now. And I think public speaking is a bit like skiing, because if you're at the bottom, you will think, oh yeah, I could do that too. But then if you're at the top of a black slope, you're looking down and you're like, shit, that looks way harder than it did from the bottom. Still, I would like to encourage everyone, if you ever wanted to go to do public speaking, you can also contact us and maybe get a talk for next year. I'm always happy to discuss topics, so just contact me. There's going to be a conf game. So each of you has one of these chips here on their badge, and there is going to be an ID, and you can just go up to each of the sponsors, and they have a tablet. You can answer some questions, and then afterwards you always get a chance to win one of these amazing prizes. I would go for the Switch, or maybe the headphones. And so yeah, it's a cool prize, some cool prizes, and yeah. just get in contact with them and don't be shy to participate in that. Okay, so just one general thought on software development. So usually when you tell someone you're in software development, they have either like one of these ideas. And even though I'm not 100% sure that the actual what I do is right, I still like how the people outside of our community, what they think what we are doing. And I think the weirdest part about that is that if you get asked, if you say you're a software developer, most people think it's a lot of math, it's a lot of logic involved, but also I think what's really important is it's a lot of creativity. So you have to figure out the problem, think granular, like take apart bigger problems into granular problems, and then solve each of those smaller problems on the go. And I think that's a really challenging task, especially considering that in like different than in other fields in the industry, software developers always have to stay up on the like most new things that are happening in the industry, and that's why I think conferences like these are really, really cool, because you can exchange, like you can learn from what other people already did. If there's a new technology, you can go here, you can find out which problems they had, and then learn from their experiences. So we're gonna go quickly over the theme tracks. I think, yeah, we're okay on time. As I said, these are the theme tracks. I think all of you have seen them already on the website. We have like a bunch, like we have AI, infrastructure, backend, and big data, buzzing technology, and all of these will be introduced just now. The one thing that we changed in comparison to last year is last year we had a tech entrepreneur stories track where we gave tech entrepreneurs the chance to like introduce the business idea or what their learnings from what they did. And this year we split that up into stories and fairy tales because there were a lot of talks handed in that might have not have a perfect fit for one of the talks. And I think in general it's true that you can learn from just a story that someone is telling you about one of their projects, even though it's not completely technical or doesn't fit into one of those tracks. And then also we have the Coding Society track, because I think just for us as developers, there is a lot of stuff that we influence within the society and that we interact with the society, and we try to cover all of those within that track as well. So I also want to say thanks to my curators that helped me, as I said, and they will come up on stage now and present their tracks, and we will start with Andre. So give a big applause to Andre.
Is it working? Okay, now. Good morning, everyone. I'm Andre. I'm tech director at About You, and I'm happy to be the curator of the architecture track for the second time now. At About You, I'm responsible for Backbone, which is one of our main systems, mainly handling everything that's happening in the background of the shop front ends. And we are running a lot of front-end and mainly even more back-end applications in that unit. And since I started at About You, which is roughly 2 years ago, the amount of applications and systems grew by 5 times, and so did also the amount of colleagues grew. So we had a massive growth over the recent time, and this confronted us with a lot of challenges. For the architecture track, I therefore decided to choose talks about these challenges, not only because we at About You faced them, but even more because I believe that most of the companies out there also have to deal with them. For example, one question we always have to ask ourselves is, what's the perfect size of an application? Should we go big or should we go smaller applications? How much abstraction do we need in these applications? Is it better to build something quickly and maybe miss some parts? Or is it better to cover all the details, think about the edge cases and so on? Katharina will speak about this in her talk, time-driven development, directly after this intro here on the stage at 10. But there are more questions or challenges. For example, if the number of applications increases, you always need to ask yourself, like, how should these applications communicate with each other? Do we use APIs or queues? Where do we store data? How do we exchange this data? And also, what standards and technologies are out there and which ones should I choose? How do we recover when something in such a distributed architecture breaks? There will be multiple talks providing answers to these questions. Dirk from AWS will speak about application integration patterns for microservices. René from the Metro will focus on the strengths of Apache Kafka. Andreas will talk about the Open API standard in action, and Michael from EOS about exception handling in distributed architectures. In addition, there will be talks about additional topics like state management in Flutter, event-driven architectures for data engineers, avoiding anti-patterns, and some more. All these talks will take place in Cinema 8. Yes. So one highlight of this year's architecture track is Dirk's talk about the architecture of Visual Studio Code. It will take place here in Cinema 1 tomorrow at 4. So as Martin said, good talks are usually at the end of the conference. So everyone who's interested in TypeScript or HTML5 or Electron or big open source problems which you can extend with plugins should attend Dirk's talk then. Yeah, if you want to know more about Backbone and what I'm doing, I will also have a talk tomorrow at 3 in Cinema 8 about multi-tenant applications. And yeah, and I hope you like the broad selection of architectural talks. See you there and enjoy the conference.
Okay, next up, Teresa with the AI track. Let's try to keep it shorter.
Yeah, right. Hi, everybody. I hope you had a good night's sleep. My dog threw up in bed yesterday night at 5. So, yeah. So I curated artificial intelligence track. I work at Free now since like 3 years. I'm leading a data science team there. I worked also at Xing. I worked in data engineering and data science. So artificial intelligence is like a very buzzy word at the moment. So in my opinion, the trends these days, and if we are like looking at how the world is working at the moment, we are going to move a little bit that software engineering and artificial intelligence are not just going to be about the tools, but a little bit about the people and what we're building and how are we responsible about the output. So if you keep in mind these days with how software is spread, like there is nobody in Europe that at the moment or in US that does not have a mobile phone, is not reached by something that you might actually in this room have built. So the things that we're building are having the opportunity to really amplify our mistakes to a very high proportion. So social injustice, if we didn't pay attention to the data that we used in our system, can be really amplified in the software that we build. So all machine learning engineers, data scientists, software developers, they have to start like, you know, they are starting to become accountable and responsible for the things that they're building. And then also think about what if you were the author of an open source algorithm that you built it in like really good faith and it's now being used in Hong Kong for, you know, what's going on in Hong Kong. Would you be happy with that? So, how can you control that? So these are like, I think, in my opinion, questions that are going to be more and more discussed in the near future. So besides that, in the AI track, we have one talk that is touching on this. Are we scared of, should we be scared? Are we being taken over by robots or not? And otherwise, we do have a lot of talks on everything, right? So you can learn about computer vision, you can learn about neural networks, you can learn about gaming without neural networks, you can learn about productionizing machine learning, you can learn about voice assistants. They're getting smarter. I'm actually curious how they are still protecting human rights while they are developing that. And also debugging. That's actually quite interesting, how you debug machine learning and AI solutions. So yeah, this track is going over 2 days. So see you there if you want to learn more how to, be in the future.
Thank you.
I forgot to say something. There is one topic we do not have. We do not have autonomous driving, and this is because, Elon Musk will come to this conference when he can be driven here by an autonomous car. Thus, he's not here this year.
Yeah, totally true. Okay, Heike is next. I think we are running into the same problem as last year, but please, keep your patience. We try to get all of this done before 10 minutes before the next talk.
Hello, moin moin everybody. My name is Heike. I'm a data scientist at Xing, and I'm the curator of the Big Data track, and I'm very much looking forward to being here today. So the Big Data track will cover topics related to data, but for the fancy algorithms and latest machine learning models, you probably need to go to the artificial intelligence track. At the Big Data track, we're more going to look at how to inject data into our systems, how to process data in real time, and how to output data. We will have some really cool talks about visualization, and we will also touch on what are we actually currently allowed to do with our data, speaking of GDPR. And we will also cover a lot of infrastructural topics. Nowadays, a lot of companies are experimenting around with the cloud because the cloud is really appealing, right? There are so many cloud providers, and they offer on-demand infrastructure for storing data, for development, for testing, and they have really cool out-of-the-box solutions, and you can just turn them on and off very, very quickly. So it's super appealing, and there are studies that predict that by 2021, almost 94% of all workloads will somehow be processed through the cloud. So it's a very relevant topic, and for most companies, it's not a question of if to go to the cloud or not, but it's rather how. So we have 2 talks who will actually focus on that topic. One is today at 12 o'clock by Otto, and Utz Westermann from Otto will tell us how they moved their entire big data infrastructure from an on-premise Hadoop data lake to the Google Cloud. And they did that for the entire infrastructure, including all the services, in less than 1 year, which is super impressive, and I think we can all learn from that. The second talk today about the cloud is by Chibo, and Chibo has an online shop which has been around for more than 20 years, and it's one of the biggest online shops in Germany, and Friak from Chibo will tell us what they learned when they tried to implement the big data structure there at Chibo. So it will be very interesting to learn from them. Then at 3 o'clock today, we get a little bit more hands-on practical. Wolle from Backend will tell us how they are using the AWS cloud and talk about big data analytics in the cloud and touch the entire process from data collection to data storage in S3 up to how to do analytics with AWS Athena and do that almost in real time. This is going to be very cool. Then at 4 o'clock today, we will have our interesting panel discussion, and the topic is GDPR, who cares? So GDPR affects probably almost every one of us here in this room, because every company who processes data in Europe or from European citizens has to follow this law. And in the panel discussion, we want to discuss what we've experienced in those 1.5 years where it has been implemented and what we've learned. And we have invited a legal expert, Verena Grenzenberg, and she is there to clear some myth and talk about some misconceptions of GDPR. And we also want to discuss this important question about what does GDPR actually mean for Europe? Because we're focusing a lot of the privacy of the user. It could be maybe an advantage and drive innovation, but maybe it's also risk, because maybe we're losing against China, because in China, the companies, they can just do whatever they want with their data. So it will be very interesting to discuss that topic, and I'm looking forward if many of you join our discussions. Then we have 2 more talks in the evening at 5 o'clock. The first one is about stream processing. So stream processing is basically the key to having your data available in real time. And 2 researchers from the TU Berlin have developed a really cool open source window operator, which can make window aggregation for stream processing a lot faster. And you can easily integrate it in your existing stream processing system. So if you somehow deal with a stream processing, this talk might be very interesting, and you can learn how to make it even more efficient. And we also, at 5 o'clock at the same time here in this cinema, we have another talk. It's about visualization of big data sets. Marco will introduce us to Agile, which is a super cool library where you can build interactive 3D graphs in your browser. It's super fast, it's really cool, and a very impressive library. And you can also integrate it easily into your existing React frameworks. So I suggest you check it out. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this conference. See you.
Thanks, Heike. Okay, so the next one, Aya sadly can't be here because she had to catch a flight to America because she has a project there. I see people already leaving. I will hurry up. So buzzing technologies, we tried to cover, there's always a few technologies who are really buzzing at the moment, and we do have a talk about cell editing, so how to have like biotech, that how to program cells to do what you want them to do. And we also have a talk about Blazor, which is a really cool technology. I love C#. I know it's not a good thing to say, but I really love C#. And sadly, we also had a talk about quantum computing and how to do quantum computing, but sadly, they couldn't appear as well. Yeah, and it's really sad that Aya is not here, but she was really doing a great job by providing like a real great insights from the from her network. Crystal also can't be here today because she has like she's sick, and the front-end track is like one of the with the most, or like almost one of the most talks in our conference, obviously, because it covers so many topics that we have here. I'm not going to go over the talks, you can just look it up in the program. But I think what's really interesting in the front end, so we had like 2 years ago, we had this tendency where like every week it felt like there's a new framework coming out and everyone to push their framework. And I'm really happy that's settled, and we are now trying to settle for like 3 or 4, maybe 5 frameworks that we can use, which are the big ones. And we have, I think we have most of them covered here, sadly. So yeah, so I think that's going to be a really cool track. So next up is Vivian. She was just here. Okay, sorry. Vivian is covering the IoT track. And I think IoT is a really cool topic because it touches also on almost all of the other tracks. So how you process the data, how do you use the data with AI, and we are going to go more into, for example, how do you use IoT devices to enable people more, and then we also tomorrow we will have an IoT discussion about the future of mobility or smart mobility and which trends are going to happen in the future there. So next up is Stefan.
Hello, my name is Stefan. I'm currently working as a head of development at Hermes, Germany. And I personally have a very strong technical background. However, in my current role, I found that technological things become less and less important, but organizational topics become more and more important. And this is why I'm very proud to present this track to you today. And every one of you probably knows that agility is one of the most common, most important topics in IT organizations today. Frameworks like Kanban and Scrum are used everywhere, probably by all of you. But on the other hand, Scrum and Kanban often are just the new version of a project management framework. It does not make people happier, does not make us happier, does not make the customer happier, so it does not deliver what was originally promised. So what we try to achieve in this track is not to tell you how to really do Scrum, how to improve your dailies, how to do better reviews or whatever. But the goal of the speakers in this track is to show you what is really possible if you push things one step further. And we're trying to address this from various points of view. And the first point of view I would like to introduce to you today is a closer look at autonomy and self-organization. This will be done by Judith this morning. And this is added by an idea which is introduced by Marten Westphal tomorrow, which is called mindfulness, or for those of you who are German, Achtsamkeit, which does not really sound like an IT thing, and probably originally is no IT thing, but I think it's a very important topic. Yeah? It shows you how to focus better, how to be happier at work, how to deliver sustained performance in your daily work. And if you have all that, if you have your good team and if you are in good mood, the question is how to deliver the right things, how to find the right goals. And this is what Tim and Johannes will introduce to you this today. And they will show you how a bad vision can harm a team, and on the other hand, our good vision can improve the team and empower the team. And when we have the vision, the question still is, does the customer like what we are intended, what we want to do here? And our answer as developers is usually, let's code, let's write an application. But the question is delivering applications, is programming always the right answer? Or are there easier ways to find out if the customer likes what we intend to do? And Markus Andrezak will show you tomorrow how to easier test if the customer likes what we want to do. And how to try out things easier, faster. And last but not least, we will take a closer look into the future of Agile. So as you might know, Agile or Scrum becomes 18 years old now, so it's grown up. And it was invented at a time when development cycles were 6 months, and where cloud was just water drops in the air, no technology as today. So probably something like Scrum or Agility needs a revamp. And this will be introduced by Thomas tomorrow afternoon, so one of the last and final talks tomorrow here. He will introduce to us a modern Agile. So all of these talks will be in Cinema 2. Hope to see you there. Let's learn new stuff about agility.
Okay, keeping up the speed. Good. Okay, so next is Catalina, talking about the mobile track.
Hello, everyone. I will make this short and sweet. So my name is Kata. I'm a mobile developer. I've been a mobile developer for 7 years now. I've mostly been working in startups in Munich. Currently, I'm working in the e-health sector for Teleclinic. And most of my experience is native, but mobile development is so much more than just native iOS and Android. There are so much more technologies, hybrid technologies, cross-platform technologies, and tools being developed by the community around, around Google's and Apple's ecosystems. And this is basically what we're going to cover in the talks in the mobile track. We're going to have a talk where we build an app from scratch using Firebase and Swift UI. We're going to have insights from building an app with hybrid technologies. We will also have an introduction in React Native, as well as getting into details when talking about mobile native app architecture. And we'll also have really cool insights into a large study made on website performance, which I think is really cool. And last but not least, we'll have a hands-down lab tomorrow, which will be 90 minutes where we can all build an offline-capable web shop together. I hope you're all as excited as I am, and maybe not as nervous as I am. And I really look forward to seeing you all here today, and I hope you find something interesting, whether you are a mobile developer or not. See you around. Thanks.
Thanks, Catalina. So next is Philip with the IT security track.
Yes, I guess most of you will focus on the other tracks because it's about coding, and I think in general Code Talks is about coding, and yeah, not about secure and IT products. So in general, if you think security is more like being Big Brother and how to spy on other computer and so on, we will show you in the security track that security is a bit more than that. So security is a bit more about being Big Brother. It's more about just bashing on all that privacy topics. It's, for example, something like thinking about security and usability, thinking about web security, thinking about software testing, for example, and also for we will talk about cloud security in that special context. We will talk about OVS, also about fraud prevention. And yeah, how we can design in a TCV in executing untrusted code in production. So if you might think security will be a small part in that conference, of course it will be, because our talks will be at the end of the conference, mostly. So think about that. Thank you very much, and I hope we will show you that security is more than being Big Brother. Yeah.
Thank you, Philip. Okay. Few more to go. Staying there. So Micha is going to talk about the UX UI track.
Hi, well. I know what you're thinking, UI UX design, what they're doing here at the Code Talks. We're sometimes called pixel pushers, or the ones that just make it beautiful, or I don't know, like there's a German word that says clicky bunty. But we're also caring about the customers, of course, and we're also trying to connect technology and design and users and business together, and this is what we're also doing at this track. So I just wanted to plug you 3 talks that I found very interesting. First is the talk by Nuria. She is going to talk about accessibility and how it improved the business metrics at their hotel search engine called Holidoo. Then there is Isabel and Anne going to talk about dark patterns. So we have, as we already talked about it, we have responsibilities as people in tech, and we can do things right and we can do things wrong, and they are pointing at the things that we do wrong sometimes and what's going to improve there. And then the third talk is from Gustav and Marius, and they are going to talk how their build a tool that put designers and developers more closer together. And they were building a design system and a design system tool. So it's also interesting for all you developers that like to learn something about the Go language. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to listen there and learn a lot. And yeah, well, thank you. And I hope you have a nice time there. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Micha. Okay, so 4 more. So next, Neo is going to talk about the backend track.
Hi guys, it's my first time at Code Talks. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a senior engineer at About You, and I work with the Backbone team. And while working with the Backbone team, you have to run into a lot of performance issues, and you have to optimize a lot. And this is one of the few things I was considering while picking the talks for the backend track. So what can you really expect from the backend track? We have some beginner topics, and you have some advanced topic covering things like Symphony and Serverless and Laravel, whether you should use it or not. We also have things about proper API design, and we have leveraging events. So if you're curious as to what backend developers do, or you want to just see how you can make your stack better, this will be a very good track to attend, and I hope to see you all there.
Thanks, Neo. So next is Max with the Coding Society track.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm working for a software company called Mayflower. And I'm not only a developer there, I'm also a father. So if you're wondering about the loud kids, they're at the right side of mine. And being a father is also a part of the community thing. And so I will start to. I don't want to focus on the talks. I only want to focus on the topic, which means coding society. And I can see it two different ways. On the one hand, we can see it as software teams. So we are building software together. We are building software in small projects, or we are building software in bigger community teams. So this is one of the meanings for the coding society. And the second one is if you only add one word, so coding the society. And there we have two big topics today in our society we have to solve. Today is digitalization and the climate crisis we are confronted with. And if somebody remember a panel discussion from last year, which I made with Jan, we will focus also this topic this year. So coding society will be a mixture between community topics and also topics confronting the whole digitalization and sustainable thing. So I made it fast for you.
Thank you, Max. Okay, 3 more. And Jan is up with the infrastructure and DevOps. I'm really sorry, Katarina. We will be right there. Almost done.
Good morning. I'm JT. I do infrastructure stuff, and per usual, infrastructure guys don't talk much. That's why you all go to Cinema 4 right after this, and have a nice day. Bye.
Thanks, Jan. Okay, so 2 more. There's the VR and AR track, and I'm really looking forward to that. David Catu is here from my favorite web VR framework, and he's going to talk later today. I think at 14 o'clock, yeah. And that's going to be really amazing. We have a lot of other cool talks in that track, covering 3JS, which is the competitor framework kind of. And then, as I already said, like we have the stories and fairy tales track, where we try to cover all the talks that try to tell a story and tell a story that you can learn something from. Okay. So we kind of have the tendency of doing this way too long, and I'm really sorry for that. But I hope you all enjoy the next 2 days and have a lot of fun at the Code Talks. Thank you.